Once the American Revolution ended and the United States became an independent nation, the Americans started their westward expansion. As long as they were part of the British Empire, the government in London prevented them from stealing all the Indians' land to the west. Not that the British were great friends of the Indians. It was just that as long as the Americans were expanding, there would be Indian wars, and the British would have to send their army to fight them, at terrible cost in money and manpower. The most expansion-minded Americans were the ones who assumed leadership in the westward move. The most beautiful and fertile of the lands to the west of the original Atlantic colonies were in the Ohio Valley, in what's now the states of Ohio and Indiana, south of the Great Lakes. Several Indian tribes lived and hunted there. One such tribe was the Shawnee. A chief of the Shawnee was Tecumseh, a brilliant man and a bold warrior. Tecumseh had a hatred of white people ever since his father was killed by frontiersmen in their western march. Tecumseh was only 7 at the time. Tecumseh gradually became a leader in the endless skirmishes with the white settlers. He preached to the Indians that as long as they remained in their separate tribes, they could do nothing. Unite and they could resist the white invasion and form a nation of their own. He had plans for such a nation in the rich forest lands south of where Chicago is today. Tecumseh had a younger brother who was a no-good and a drunk. Then apparently without explanation, the brother cleaned up his act and became a spiritual leader among his people. He was known as the prophet. He traveled from tribe to tribe preaching clean living and resistance to the whites. Tecumseh, between battles, traveled as far south as the Gulf of Mexico, trying to persuade all tribes to join his plan. He got a lot of agreement as they listened to his speeches, but nothing concrete ever came of it. The British to the north of the Great Lakes in Canada were sympathetic to the Indians' plight. At least they said they were. The Americans were quite conscious of Tecumseh's power, and every time they were defeated in their conquest, they blamed him. In 1812, when the British and Americans went to war, Tecumseh joined the British with about 1,000 of his warriors. Tecumseh and the British leader, General Isaac Brock, were a natural team. Both men of action, both ready to attack in the face of any odds. Between them, they gave the Americans a terrible series of defeats in the first months of the war. Then, Brock was killed in the fall of 1812. His successor was a no-talent bum. Tecumseh saw him for what he was and bluntly said so. In 1813, the Americans invaded again from the Detroit area. They drove the British eastward with Tecumseh, protesting that they should stand and fight. He finally persuaded the chicken-hearted British general to do battle just west of where London, Ontario is today. That was on the 5th of October in 1813. It was a mistake. The Americans won and Tecumseh was killed. And the last chance of an independent Indian nation died with him.